Hey, college football fans, strap in because the college football playoff picture just went from chaos to controlled chaos. And we're here to break it all down. So grab your popcorn, or, heck, maybe even a whole pizza because this is gonna be a ride. Because we've got upsets, surprises, and drama coming your way. You won't believe what happened in week 14, it's like a college football soap opera. With some teams on top of the world and others wondering if they should just take a nap until next season. But before we dive into all that, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video because you're not going to want to miss a single second of this wild ride. Alright, now let's jump into who's in, who's on the fence, and who's living on a prayer as we head into conference championship weekend. The playoff dreamers. Who's in and who's pretty much there. Alright, we've got some teams that are rolling in like rock stars and have basically punched their tickets to the playoff. These teams have earned it. Whether it's their perfect record, big wins, or that extra flair, they're feeling pretty good about their playoff chances. Oregon, 12-0. Oregon is still undefeated, and I mean, can we talk about how cool it is to be the only team in college football with a perfect record this late in the season? Even if Oregon loses by 42 points to Penn State in the Big Ten championship, okay. Maybe that's a bit extreme. They're still in the playoffs. Like, nothing can touch them at this point. So, yeah, Oregon is vibing. Duck. Texas, 11-1. Texas had a little bit of a roller coaster against Texas A&M. But they've still clinched a spot in the SEC championship against Georgia. Even if they lose to the Bulldogs, Texas is still riding high with that 11-1 record. A loss won't knock them out. So the Longhorns are feeling pretty good about themselves. Sign of the Horns. Penn State, 11-1. Penn State's 11-1 record is like that really good friend who always knows what to say to make you feel like you've got this. They've locked in a spot in the Big Ten championship, and they could definitely be a playoff team if things go their way. No one's underestimating the Nittany Lions anymore. Lion. Notre Dame, 11-1. Congratulations, Notre Dame. You made it to the playoff party. With a stunning 11-1 record and a big win over USC. The Fighting Irish have effectively clinched their playoff spot. I mean, at this point, unless we have a complete disaster, Notre Dame is in, and they're bringing the luck of the Irish to the big dance. Four-leaf clover. SMU, 11-1. SMU. Huh? Who saw that coming? If they beat Clemson in the ACC championship, they could be looking at a top 4 seed in the playoff. But even if they lose, they probably won't fall out of contention. I think it's safe to say SMU is a serious playoff contender. American football. Indiana, 11-1. Hold up. Indiana is sitting pretty at 11-1 and ready to turn heads. They shocked the world with their win over Purdue, and suddenly, they're right in the playoff conversation. Who knew this was gonna be Indiana's year? Good for them. Don't sleep on the Hoosiers. These guys could make some serious noise. Trophy. Ohio State, 10-2. Yeah, Ohio State lost to Michigan, but they're still in the mix. After that 13-10 heartbreak, the Buckeyes are now in at-large territory, meaning they still have a shot at the playoff with that 10-2 record. It's a tough road, but it's Ohio State. We're not counting them out just yet. Eagle. Tennessee, 10-2. Tennessee finished strong with a win over Vanderbilt. They might not be playing for a conference title, but 10-2 with a key win over Alabama? That's enough to keep the Volunteers in the hunt. They're feeling good, but still need a few things to break their way. Orange Heart. Win and you're in. The teams that could still make it. Now, let's talk about some teams that still have work to do. But here's the kicker, they're not far off. If they win their conference championships, they could sneak into the playoff like a ninja in the night. Georgia, 10-2. Georgia, I know you're nervous. You might not have to worry if you lose to Texas in the SEC championship. But we haven't really figured out how the committee will treat two lost teams. But honestly, Georgia is so good. They've been in the top 4 all season. So it's hard to imagine they'll be left out. You're good, Georgia. But still, that SEC championship game is crucial. Clemson, 9-3. Okay, Clemson, you're still in it. But here's the deal. You need to beat SMU in the ACC championship. If you do that, your playoff dreams could still be alive. But if you lose, well, not so much. It's do or die. Clemson, Tangerine. Boise State, 11-1, or UNLV, 10-2. These two teams are still duking it out for the Mountain West title. If Boise State wins, they could be looking at a number 4 seed. But if UNLV pulls off the win, they could make the playoff, though maybe a little further down the list. Either way, the Mountain West is making things interesting. Horseface. Arizona State, 10-2, or Iowa State, 10-2. These two teams are playing for the Big 12 championship, and the winner could get into the playoff. Arizona State is coming off a big win over rival Arizona, and Iowa State just had an impressive victory. It's a toss-up, but both teams are on the cusp of greatness. Fire. On the bubble. Miami in the waiting game. Miami, buddy, you had us. You were cruising with a 21-point lead over Syracuse. But then, well, you know what happened. The Hurricanes need some help to make it to the playoff. They'll be praying for SMU to beat Clemson, and a few other things to fall into place. But let's face it, it's gonna be a wild ride. Tornado. The long shots. Here's hoping for a miracle. Now, these teams are the ones who should probably just keep their fingers crossed. They've got a lot of work to do, and their playoff chances look like a long shot at best. Alabama, 9-3. You've got a good record. But 3 losses? Ouch. Alabama's hopes rely on absolute chaos. A conference championship win would make things interesting, but this is going to be one wild ride for the Crimson Tide. Roll the dice. Alabama. Game die. Ole Miss, 9-3. You know what? Ole Miss has been solid, but with just 3 losses. The Rebels are pretty much hoping for miracles at this point. It's gonna be tough, but hey, stranger things have happened. Crossed fingers. South Carolina, 9-3. South Carolina has had a great season, but they still have a long way to go to make the playoff. A win in the SEC championship could change things, but right now, they're living on a prayer. Folded hands. Winners and losers of Week 14. Let's quickly take a look at some of the weekend's heroes and those who might need to go back to the drawing board. Winners. Michigan. Big win over Ohio State. Now that's what we call a rivalry victory. The Wolverines are celebrating for weeks. Baylor. After being 2-4, the Bears finished strong with a 6-game win streak. Well done, Baylor. Bear. Duke. Manny Diaz and the Blue Devils finished strong, ending up in a tie for 4th in the ACC. Trophy. Losers. North Carolina. What a disappointing end to the season. A loss to NC State left them at 6-6. Ouch. Grimace. Tulane. Their playoff dreams were crushed after a loss to Memphis. Better luck next year. Crocodile. UAB. 2 missed field goals cost them a huge win, and they fell short against Charlotte. Tough luck. UAB. High voltage. Closing. And that's a wrap on Week 14 of college football. We've seen a lot of wild stuff go down, and now it's time to gear up for the final stretch. What do you think? Which teams do you have making it into the playoffs? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because we want to hear from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Let's keep the conversation going and get ready for the college football playoff. Catch you later, and as always, stay hyped for the next big game. American football. There were interceptions, missed field goals, and more penalties than you could shake a flag at. But in the end, Michigan came out on top, and not just in the score column. With 45 seconds left on the clock, Michigan kicker Dominic Zavada calmly drilled a 21-yard field goal to give the Wolverines a 13-10 lead. Ohio State had one last chance to get the ball downfield and maybe tie the